Well, hello everyone. You're here to show you that the glue mascot is say activity, say coloring right here. As you see right here is I went ahead and drew. You say kind of it's like a building, say monument. Somebody used to say you can maybe look at it as like a glue stick. It is, and then of course what I went ahead and drew right here is details. Of course, is about right here is the around the monument that I went ahead and drew is like that talking about is that knowing if you were to go to any location to where if there would be like maybe a an academy, or if it was a college, or any university, it is that if it was out parts of say it's like it could be Denver, Colorado, or maybe it could be parts of Missouri. It's like knowing about like say Raleigh Engineering School, and then of course at University of Missouri, Mizzou, or it could have been St. Charles Community College, other universities. It is, and then of course you say academy, say schooling, the types of buildings that normally where you would be going, just to be able to tour is like that, the school, the buildings and stuff like that. But anyway, that you have right here is that I went ahead and for glue mascot is talking about is like a type of symbol. Is like with most of us, think about is like that you have a building, kind of like that right there. Go ahead and use like what you call like a light, brown type color. But you have a building, kind of like this right here, to where that it would be like what you call colored. So you go and start, from the tops right here. But it would be like a sculpt. It would be like kind of like a sculpture, say of like type of a glue, sculpture. It is known about. Say for glue mascot, it is it talking about is that that a type of activity known about that. That maybe could be a model that the different things that you can think that you'll be able to do with glue. It is, and on about with any projects that we may have learned or worked on in school. It is I worked on quite a few of them, and of course don't have many more, but a few of the projects that I did whenever I was in school, of course, was say drawing and cutting, and then of course you say is pasting. You got right here say example, say the Elmer's glue sticks, and the glue stick, and then of course with the Elmer's glue it is. Just knowing about a project that I was doing around here, and just knowing about the fact about like the hot glue. I'm sure people here have experienced about what it's like to use hot glue. It is that knowing about that knowing about you take the glue gun, and then from using the glue gun it is, and just knowing about that, hey, I'm like it's, and then whenever it gets on your skin, it starts burning a lot of times, and I got glue gun here. Of course, I hardly ever use, but people probably think about it. It's like if it's hot, then why do you even use it? But on the other hand, too, that some people may say like maybe like super glue that it dries faster than, of course, in a lot of other glues. It's like you got other like rubber cement, and then of course with you say with super seal or any type of other glue products that or paste or anything like that you've used. But other than that, is talk about right here is you got right here it's like a kind of like a sculpture right here, and then of course right there is like with a little bit of say gray. It is that I think this is a silver. It's a silver type color crayon. But anyway, if I let's just say if this was me whenever I was young, that knowing about if you would be walking say along be walking somewhere along the city around town or whatever you call it, knowing about if you wanted to explore, as to say the different markings of land it is just knowing about that if you're taking a tour around say 48th Conso Avenue or whatever, that knowing about that you may see something interesting and want to take a picture of it. But one thing, of course, I may like to see is like kind of like a monument like this, like a sculpture. It is just knowing about you have right here will be like say a water, a fountain right here, kind of like a waterfall. You can say kind of like going around, and say that the sculpture, say of the monument it is. You got right here is that it's like an example, say of a say a waterfall, and then of course right up. Go ahead and just continue using silver. But anyway, and then right up here would be like what you call is steps. It's like you have steps at about right here that would walk up to the monument it is, and then you'll be able to, and then it'll be like what you call, you know, I don't know about a door. So there may be some people that may say that yeah, that if you have it to where that you walk into a door and then be able to what you call, you know, walk in, and then it would be like a place where it's like knowing about that there'd be a door underneath to where you walk in, and there's like a little museum inside the building, and of course there'll be a way. Let's just say if the way I draw it right here, of course it may be about 5 feet tall, but let's just say if it were about 8 feet tall, it is way to walk up there, and knowing about you'll be able to get at least you know, a good view, about maybe 15-foot view of say around, you know, the east and south parts, say of the say along, you know, if it was off a campus or whatever, be able to look at the around, you know, kind of like the Washington Monument, and be able to look at the buildings it is. But other than that, it's like you know, use right here as a sculpture. But most of us probably think about the way, from what I looked it up from, you know, from Mascot, it is knowing about is that talk about with my teachers, that they probably think about if you don't put it in your own words, and more likely you'll lose points. But anyway, you know, my own words are saying about as Mascot is, you say, is talking about, is like is knowing about that you say, whenever I looked it up in the dictionary, of course, it was about, you say, animals that special, say, monument, and say that represents the school it is. But other than that, it's like with the Mascot is that I would probably say, you know, that certain design, that certain design it is knowing about, you know, for what you know, represents what represents you know, you know, that person it is, or if it could have been, you know, that person, or you say, like we say, you know, maybe like what we read about the nouns, you know, about that person or special thing it is. And of course, I can maybe think of some other, gotta say hints it is, and knowing other ideas about that. But other than that, it's talking about, it's like let's say that I know with some people probably think about that yeah, you know, if you that some people say, I don't even know if really there's a university out there that's known, you know, for the owls or anything like that, you know, for the owls or anything, but like you pick a particular animal, and it's like in random it is, if it's you say that black, you know, that black Cedo cat or anything like that, but say the home of the owls or anything like that, home of the pigeons. But other than that, is knowing about with glue Mascot it is knowing about, people probably think about that, yeah, if you say take a pair of scissors and then of course cut out a shape, is like you got right here is the you know, the triangle, and then maybe the you know, off the gun or anything like that, or you have you know, the square, and then the circle it is, and then let's say, then the star, and then of course you may have you say that the diamond lane, I guess if there would be a shape, you know, called the diamond lane or something like that. But anyway, they cut out the shapes, and they won't just be able to glue them. And I remember that was the one activity I remember doing when I was in school, but not really like, you know, scissors like this. More like it would be like a little smaller, of course. And just knowing about that, yeah, that they say that you know, to be extra careful. It's like whenever you're handling the scissors, it is. But let's just say that go ahead and add like this. This was like a face that I went ahead and drew right here, and I don't think it would be like by any famous person it is. But let's just say that go ahead and just, you know, add some detail right here. It's like for the face, and people probably think about if they were to see something like that. You say off of, you know, somewhere, you know, taking a tour, field trip somewhere, and just knowing about the, hey, you know, it's like that it was you say sculptured out of stone. I guess you say that the type of paste that I guess that they had back in like the early 1800s it is. So you got the, you know, it's the stone, and then of course so you got right here is the face, and then right here is, you got right here is the bow tie. You got right here is the tie right here. But other than that, knowing about that, yeah, that if you would be walking around like knowing about that with me, that if I could picture myself, it's like walking somewhere and then I maybe find something interesting it is. But one thing real quick, maybe point out also, and just knowing about that, that let's just say if you say if the mascot were like home of the zebras, it was go ahead and draw like what you call as a zebra, and go ahead and right here try to keep it all together, and then knowing about it's like my hand right there, so that way we can all see the artwork it is. But anyway, if my teachers of course would be seeing the work and knowing about it, it's like well, Mr. McGuire, you do not explain, like, you do not explain, this or that, like knowing about that, well, But anyway, but other than that, knowing about that, some of the times the teachers would be like, it's not supposed to be where you're written out of a book, it's supposed to be in your own words, it is, or by a combination of both. But anyway, we all probably know it about. It's like with the zebra. Go ahead and draw like what you call is like a zebra. Say mascot right here. And I really don't know of any schools, of course, that maybe in Jefferson City or whatever, that they would have say a mascot of say a home of the zebras or zebra Mansons or anything like that. But Jefferson City, St. Louis, or if it's Iowa, or places like that where they would have schools, or you say academies where it's a home of the zebras it is. But anyway, go ahead and add go ahead and add a little bit of blue. It's like knowing about use a blue pen. Go ahead and add just a little bit of blue, but just mainly start out with like we say is they say with the ground, it's like knowing about it's like go ahead and draw. It's like would say one of those things that you would normally see on like one of those movies like Madagascar. It's like draw like right there. It's like that with the zebra right there, and then of course go ahead and use like what you call is the purple like marker, the purple type crayon. It is the type crayon, and then of course we could probably think about that. Something that you maybe see on the carousel. It's like it's like the circus. But other than that, go ahead, the light, like yellow green right there. And then with the marker, if you want to go ahead and add some scenery right there is for the background. Of course, that what I have, of course, is you got here is the pink. Go ahead and add like if it's like what you call for glue mascot. It is if it would be what you call displayed. If the display was like what you call is maybe carved out of sheet of maybe sheetrock or stone or anything like that, and then maybe covered in some type of say of paste it is. But if it was displayed and of course the writing on there for what it presents and stuff. A lot of people probably think about is like maybe draw like what you call is like a part where if it will be carrying something, if it will be carrying a carriage or anything like that. But it's like with the zebra here, people probably think about that. Don't see that too often. It's like a zebra hauling something or whatever. But say that if there would be like what you call a stamp for what the zebra stands for, it is. So right here is the monument for what it stands for. It's like talking about it's like for for the good luck for memorial for whenever the school opened and stuff, and on your hand too, that knowing about that for knowing about it's like the study for the the wildlife animals it is. But other than that, you have right there is for the zebra, and then of course you got this tool right here where I can trace. It's like if talk about it's like if most of us have seen them before, that we can maybe say draw say the perfect circle. It's like one of those tracers it is. But anyway, I think it's called that the trace gears. One of those things I guess that you use for drawing. Say I guess for stencil art or something like that. But anyway, if I can remember right, I think I don't know if I bought this or if I just found it around. But anyway, I guess you say that if any of us taking any type of maybe geometry, thing like that, knowing about the different things that you can use to, we say that to draw shapes and then to customize made shapes and to cut them out and just what do they represent it is. But real quick, for another minute, go ahead and just add a little bit more detail right here for the, say for like the monument it is, but you got right here is the calculator, knowing about is like the type of activities that you may have done. It's like right here is the wall. It's like reminds me of for election time it is that they would have you election time or anything like that where they would try to divide the desk into personal spaces. Is like knowing about that. Yeah, go out and go vote and like thinking about that. Hey, you got right here is a place where that's like nobody can look at your work and stuff. But anyway, that if you were to have like what you call a monument like this right here, and just knowing about if this was me, just walking along, you say is that you got right here is me. I'll be walking around, and that knowing about the fact that if I was really curious about something, knowing about that I see a door somewhere or maybe a window, then maybe like anybody else whenever you're young, knowing about what that. But anyway, but the details I went ahead and drew right here, of course, is that knowing about that. Yeah, I could maybe come up with a lot more ideas later on. But anyway, you got right here is like right here at college campus or the academy it is, and just knowing about, hey, like what's that, and you're like, yeah. Spend time, maybe you're looking at like if there was maybe some museums around or anything like that, but just knowing about it, it's like really, it's like what the mascots usually stand for, knowing about the types of things what you think about, what you do about, what the mascot do to study about, what the mascots usually presented is, and just knowing about, I guess you say, about the fact about the whole study, the whole purpose about, home of what you call is like for the best education, for what it presents. It's like that certain animal or that certain person it is that did their research about that topic it was, about that story, that theme it was. But other than that, is talk about it's like for the glue mascot, and talk about with me is like with all the other activities and knowing about, say with the calculator, and other than that is talk about say for the glue mascot coloring.